I stood there alone in the restaurant, staring at the candlelit table I had reserved for 10. I had worn my best jacket, shaved, even fixed that damn crooked tie Melissa always complained about. 38 years old, and not a single person showed up. My daughter? Absent. My son? No call. My wife? Ghosted. Not even my younger brother, Dean, who never missed a free dinner. I called her. She picked up with laughter in her voice. Jason, she giggled, I'm on a 3-week vacation with your brother. Silence. My heart actually skipped. She put the phone on speaker, and I heard Dean's smug voice echo through. What are you gonna do, cry? Save your tears, bro. She'll divorce you soon anyway. I wish I could say I screamed, or threw the phone across the room. But I didn't. I just stood there, frozen, my entire body buzzing like I had been hit with 100 volts of betrayal. I hung up. That night, something inside me snapped. I didn't cry. I didn't drink. I didn't beg. Instead, I made one call. To someone she never thought I'd talk to again. Someone she had sworn was dead to her years ago. Her ex-best friend, Rachel. Rachel had always been a bit of a wild card. But one thing about her? She hated liars even more than I did. And oh boy, did Melissa lie. Over the next few hours, Rachel unloaded 20 years' worth of secrets like she'd been waiting for the day someone would finally ask. Your son, she said, after 2 glasses of wine. Yeah, she was sleeping with her coworker Thomas during that time. You didn't know. I blinked. She went on. And your daughter? She used to joke that she didn't look like you. That was always a red flag. I thought you knew. I didn't. I went home and grabbed the DNA tests I had ordered months ago after a late-night spiral led me to Reddit threads I shouldn't have read. They'd been sitting in my drawer, unopened. I had always told myself it was paranoia. Turns out, it was instinct. I opened them at 3:17 a.m. with trembling hands. And there it was, in black and white. Neither of them were mine. Not even close. 20 years. 2 kids. All a lie. I didn't sleep that night. I stared at the ceiling until the sun came up. My body numb, my chest tight like something inside was trying to claw its way out. I thought of the times Melissa called me boring. Of how she started sleeping in the guest room, saying I snored too much. Of how she spent every weekend at the spa or helping her mom. Of the way she stopped looking at me like I mattered. But laughing? Going on vacation with my brother and laughing at me? That's when I made the decision. Revenge wasn't just an option. It was the only way I'd survive this. I invited Rachel to my house for dinner. I took a photo of us together. I captioned it with 3 words, surprise guest tonight. Then I posted it on Facebook, with the privacy set so only Melissa could see. She called me. Once. Twice. Then again. 67 times. I watched her number flash on my screen over and over again like it was begging me to answer. I didn't. I blocked her. Then I opened that bottle of champagne I had been saving for our 20th anniversary. Popped it. Poured it into 2 glasses. Handed one to Rachel. And toasted to the death of lies. But this was only the beginning. Because I hadn't even told her what I knew yet. And when I do, her entire world is going to burn. The next morning, I sat at the kitchen table staring at 2 pieces of paper that had destroyed my identity as a father. DNA results. I had tucked them neatly under the morning newspaper, like I used to do with my kids' drawings when they were small. Funny how life flips the script. You go from hanging crayon art on the fridge to hiding documents that prove your entire life was a fraud. Melissa still hadn't stopped trying to reach me. Even with her number blocked, she used her mom's phone, her sister's, even some random number I didn't recognize that sent a text saying, "We need to talk. It's urgent." Yeah, I bet it was. The woman I had spent 2 decades loving, providing for, defending, was on a luxury vacation with my brother, my own blood, and had the audacity to call me after I posted one picture? The sheer audacity was mind-blowing. By the afternoon, I finally replied. I didn't text back. I sent a screenshot of the DNA results. Nothing else. A minute later, my phone rang. Blocked number. I answered. Jason, what the F*** is this? Her voice was frantic, her breath short. You tell me, Melissa. Are you seriously gonna ask me about my proof when you've been living a lie for 20 goddamn years? Listen. It's complicated. No, it's not. Either you were faithful, or you weren't. And I've got black and white proof that says you weren't. With 2 different men. Or was it more than that? Should I keep digging? Silence. Then she started crying. Or faking it. With Melissa, I could never really tell anymore. You don't understand, Jason, she choked out. We were going through so much back then. You were working all the time, always tired. I was lonely. I made mistakes. You build a family on lies. Don't say that, she whispered. They're still your kids. You raised them. My hands clenched the phone. That line, that goddamn line. I had read it in forums, seen it in movies. But to hear her say it? Like my pain was just some footnote in her soap opera? I loved them, I said, voice cracking. But don't pretend like that excuses you. You made me believe a lie every single day for 20 years. You looked me in the eyes, kissed me, lied to me, every single time. And I believed you. Her voice hardened. You're being dramatic. There it was. The switch. That tone. The one she used when she didn't get her way. When I questioned her about her long girls' nights. When I asked why she changed her passwords. Or why the credit card had random charges to hotels she couldn't explain. That same tone that turned guilt into blame. I don't have time for your tantrum, she spat. I'm on vacation. We'll talk when I get back. Vacation with Dean? I asked slowly. More silence. Then she laughed. You jealous? I hung up. If she wanted war, she was going to get it. I didn't eat. Didn't sleep. I pulled out every memory, every photo album, every receipt, every diary she ever left lying around. I started connecting dots, and what I found made me sick. There were weekend getaways I never knew about. A second phone number she used for work. And worse, old letters from Dean. Intimate ones. Dirty ones. Ones that referenced dates that overlapped with the births of both children. I felt my stomach twist. My fists clenched. She didn't just cheat. She built a life on betrayal. And she laughed in my face about it. But it was time for her to stop laughing. Because I had a plan. And it would hurt more than anything she'd ever done to me. I waited 3 weeks. Not because I forgave her. Not because I was weak. No, I waited because revenge, real revenge, is an art. And I wasn't going to ruin the painting by rushing the strokes. Melissa came back from her little getaway with Dean the same way she always did after cheating, smiling, tanned, and acting like she had done nothing wrong. She walked into the house wearing a red dress I'd never seen before, dragging expensive luggage behind her. Hey, baby, she said like nothing had happened. Miss me? I said nothing. Just looked at her, long and cold, letting the silence stretch like a blade between us. She gave me that fake confused look. Jason? Seriously? You're still mad about that DNA crap? That crap proves our kids aren't mine. They're still yours, she shot back, voice sharp like she was trying to convince herself. You raised them. You were always working. You never noticed anything was wrong. That was her defense. I was too busy being a responsible husband to realize I was living with a manipulative liar. But I didn't argue. I let her believe she was still in control. That night, I told her we were having a family dinner to reconnect. I said I invited her parents, her sister Claire, my brother Dean, even the kids. She was thrilled. Finally, she said, you're coming to your senses. She had no idea what was coming. I rented out a private room at an upscale restaurant. Expensive, elegant, and quiet enough for every word to cut deep. Everyone arrived. Melissa looked stunning in another new dress, one I imagined she bought with Dean's stolen money or maybe on my own credit card. Dean sat next to her like the smug snake he was. Our kids sat across the table, already whispering about TikToks and group chats, clueless about the nuclear bomb about to drop in their laps. I stood up, lifted my glass, and smiled. Thank you all for coming tonight. I know it's rare to get the whole family in one place, but I wanted to make a toast, a celebration. Melissa smiled and lifted her wine. To 20 years, I said. 20 years of marriage, of raising 2 beautiful children, of being the world's biggest fool. Everyone blinked. Some chuckled awkwardly. I continued. I recently found out that both of my children are not mine. Silence. The kind that crushes lungs. Claire dropped her fork. Dean stiffened. Melissa's face went pale. I reached into my pocket and pulled out the DNA results. I handed them to my daughter, then to my son. Read them. Know the truth. Jason, stop, Melissa hissed, rising to her feet. But I wasn't done. I turned to Dean. And you, I said, locking eyes with him. Hope your vacation was fun. Because it's the last one you'll ever take with my wife. Gasps. Her mother covered her mouth. Her father just shook his head and looked away like he'd known something all along but never had the guts to say it. Dean tried to talk, but I raised a hand. Don't. Just don't. I have every message. Every email. Every letter. And if you don't walk out of here right now, I'll start reading them aloud. Melissa lunged for the letters in my hand. I stepped back. You really thought you'd get away with all of it? I said, voice trembling but strong. With 20 years of lies, cheating, and betrayal? With ruining my life and laughing while you did it? Then I looked at our kids. I love you both. Always will. But I deserve better. And I won't stay married to the woman who destroyed my life piece by piece. I took off my ring, placed it on the table, and walked out. I didn't look back. Not even once. I didn't go home that night. Instead, I checked into a small hotel on the edge of town, the kind with no questions at the front desk and blackout curtains that could swallow you whole. I needed silence. Not the kind Melissa used to weaponize during our fights, but real silence. The kind that lets your brain burn through every memory, every fake kiss, every time she told you she loved you while another man's name was still probably echoing in her head. My phone didn't stop buzzing for hours. Blocked numbers. Text from Claire. My son. My daughter. Her father. Dean, of all people. Even Melissa's mother texted me a long message about thinking of the children. But you know who didn't call? Melissa. Not once. Not until the next afternoon. When she finally did, her message was short. Cold. Bitchy. Congrats. You ruined the family. Hope you're proud. That was it. No apology. No explanation. Just blame. Just her usual routine. Twist the narrative so she's the victim. But this time, it didn't sting. It just made things clearer. She didn't love me. She never did. I wasn't her husband. I was her cover. Her bank account. Her babysitter when she wanted to play single. I replied with a photo. The one of her and Dean. From a hidden camera I'd planted in our home office weeks ago when I started to feel something was off. In that photo, she's sitting on his lap, wearing nothing but the lies she wrapped around herself for 2 decades. And you know what I wrote? Don't worry. This one's for the lawyers. No response. Figures. I went home 2 days later, not because I missed it, but because I needed to begin the cleanup. The emotional kind. The legal kind. And yeah, the petty kind. When I walked in, the house smelled like perfume, her usual tactic. Melissa always doused the place in whatever new scent she thought made her seem classy. This time it was something fruity, expensive, and hollow. She was in the kitchen, leaning against the island like she owned the world. Took you long enough, she said without looking up from her phone. I stared at her for a long moment. Same glossed lips. Same perfectly curled hair. Same monster behind the eyes. I want you out. She laughed. You think you can kick me out of my house? My name is on every paper. Every bill. Every mortgage payment. Your name is on nothing but the mess you made. She rolled her eyes. Please. We both know you're too much of a coward to throw me out. That's when I smiled. Already did. Her brow lifted. What? I stepped aside as the front door opened. A man in a black suit walked in, tall, professional, and holding a clipboard. Melissa Grant? He asked. Who the hell are you? Legal process server. You've been served. He handed her the papers. Divorce. Fraud. Civil damages for paternity deception. I watched her read. Her face shifted from confusion to horror to rage in seconds. You're serious? She hissed. You're divorcing me? Over this? There's no over this. This is the end, I said. She ripped the papers in half. And I laughed. I made copies. She stormed past me, slamming the bedroom door so hard a picture fell off the wall. I picked it up. It was our wedding photo. For a second, I stared at it. At her smile. At my stupid, hopeful eyes. Then I put it in the trash. I wasn't angry anymore. I was done. And when you're finally done with a woman like Melissa, that's when the real freedom begins. Melissa moved out 3 days later. Correction, I forced her out. She thought the tantrum would work. Thought the tears, the shouting, that you're destroying everything act would shake me. But I'd already died once on the night I found out those kids weren't mine. You can't hurt a man twice when he's already been gutted from the inside. She left with 4 designer suitcases and not a single ounce of shame. No apology. No regret. She even dared to say, you'll regret this, Jason. I'm the best thing that ever happened to you. I didn't respond. I just handed her the final envelope, photos, evidence, copies of letters from Dean, and a flash drive with audio recordings she didn't know I had. My insurance policy. In case she ever thought about playing games. She ripped the envelope open on the porch like a spoiled brat who couldn't stand being out of control. Her face turned white. You're disgusting, she spat. Coming from you, I said. I'll take that as a compliment. She slammed the car door and drove off like a demon retreating back into the flames. After that, I started putting my life back together, one brutal piece at a time. First, I met with the lawyer. A real shark. The kind of guy who didn't flinch when I explained the DNA results and 20 years of deception. We can go after her for paternity fraud, he said. This isn't just betrayal, it's financial theft. You raised 2 children under false pretenses. That's civil court gold. He wasn't wrong. I filed everything. Melissa was served again, this time while she was out with friends, probably pretending to be the victim of some cold-hearted husband. Poor thing. Lied, cheated, stole years from my life, but I'm the villain for not sticking around to smile through it. I didn't even care about the money. I just wanted the truth on paper. I wanted it documented. I wanted her to face something she never expected, accountability. And the kids? That was the hardest part. They came to see me after school one day. Both of them sat across from me at the dining table, faces pale, eyes wide. I could tell they were hurt, confused, angry. Not at me, but at the world for being so damn unfair. Is it true? My daughter asked quietly. You're not our real dad? I took a deep breath. Biologically? No. But every scraped knee I bandaged, every story I read to you, every night I sat by your bed when you were sick, that was real. My son wiped his eyes. So who is? I don't know. And I don't care, I said. You're mine. Even if your mother tried to take that from me. We didn't hug. Not right away. But we stayed there, silent, together. Sometimes that's all that's left after the storm, shared silence and unspoken truths. And then came Dean. Coward didn't even call. He sent a message through our cousin, saying, "Tell Jason I'm sorry. I didn't mean for it to go this far." Didn't mean for what? The secret vacation? The decades-long betrayal? The part where he played dad to my kids behind my back? I didn't reply. I just changed my number. Blocked him on everything. Cut out that cancer for good. But Melissa, she wasn't done. She tried one last time. Showed up outside my office, makeup running, mascara-stained cheeks, sobbing like some heartbroken widow. "I need you," she whispered. "I'm lost." "No, Melissa," I said calmly. "You're not lost. You're just finally alone. And you don't know how to live without someone else's life to ruin." She tried to step closer. I stepped back. And then, I walked away. For the first time in 20 years. I chose me. After Melissa's final pathetic attempt to worm her way back into my life, something in me shifted. I stopped waking up with that sharp pain in my chest. The house felt different. Still quiet, but peaceful now, not hollow. I could breathe again. And breathing without her lies wrapping around my neck felt like rebirth. I knew I had to do something symbolic, something to mark the end of the nightmare. So I held a funeral. Not for a person. For a life. My old life. I invited no one. It was just me, a fire pit in the backyard, a bottle of whiskey, and a cardboard box filled with 20 years of deception. Photos. Cards. Anniversary letters. One of the kids' baby socks I'd saved from the hospital bag. Her old perfume bottle, the one I used to love smelling on her skin. The stupid, I read heart my husband mug she never really meant. I stared at it all. Then I lit a match. The flames danced like they were mocking me at first. But then it turned. Beautiful. Like the fire understood me. The lies burned. And I watched every single one of them turn to ash. It didn't fix everything. It didn't erase the pain. But it purified something. My grief. My rage. My need for answers. I didn't need them anymore. I'd wasted enough of my life trying to understand a woman who never made sense. I wasn't the same man who believed in her. And thank God for that. The next week, I changed everything. New locks. New car. New haircut. I even repainted the bedroom, ripping down the curtains she picked and smashing the crystal lamp she claimed was an antique, but probably came from one of her lover's apartments. And in the middle of this transformation, I met someone. Not in a romantic way, not yet. Her name was Emily. She worked in the legal office that handled my case. Smart, blunt, sharp as glass, and with eyes that didn't blink when I told her my story. She just nodded and said, "You didn't deserve that. But now you get to rebuild. That's power." We got coffee. We talked. She didn't flinch when I admitted I felt like a failure. A man without roots. A father to children who were never truly mine. "You're more of a man than most," she said. "You stayed. You gave them love even when it wasn't returned honestly. That's not weakness. That's strength most people wouldn't survive." She didn't know it then, but that conversation saved me. Because for the first time, someone saw my scars and didn't look away. Meanwhile, Melissa was spiraling. She lost her job. Apparently, word got around about her scandal with Dean and a certain coworker from way back. Karma moves faster than court dates. She tried reaching out through mutual friends, One messaged me, saying, "She's not eating. She's crying all the time." I replied with 3 words, "Not my problem." Another said, "She keeps asking about you. Says she still loves you." I laughed. She loved control. She loved comfort. She never loved me. Because if she did, she wouldn't have gutted me with a smile on her face for 2 decades straight. Love doesn't look like manipulation. Love doesn't come with DNA surprises and vacations with your damn brother. And love sure as hell doesn't show up after the damage is done, expecting to be forgiven just because you're finally alone. She wanted sympathy. What she got was silence. The same silence I lived in for 20 years, now it was her turn to feel it. And I had no intention of turning the volume back up. With Melissa finally out of my life and the court battles leaning in my favor, I did what most people never see coming. I disappeared. Not literally. I didn't fake my death or vanish into some tropical paradise. No. I disappeared from her world, from the ruins she thought she could control forever. I became a ghost in her story, and nothing terrifies a manipulator more than losing their audience. I sold the house. It was painful, sure. That house held memories, my daughter's first steps, my son's 8th birthday party in the backyard, even our first Christmas as a family. But when every brick is soaked in betrayal, even nostalgia starts to rot. I packed what mattered, a few photos of the kids, my tools, my grandfather's watch, and that matchbook from the bar where I first proposed to Melissa, which I later tossed into a dumpster behind a gas station. I left town quietly. No announcements. No drama. No closure letters. I rented a small place by a lake, about 3 hours north. Peaceful. No history here. No one knows my name when I walk into the coffee shop. I'm just a guy who orders black coffee, tips well, and sometimes sits by the water long after the sun sets. I needed this exile. Not to hide. To heal. For the first time in years, I woke up without checking my phone out of anxiety. I didn't flinch when I heard a car door outside. I didn't feel that familiar pit in my stomach every time I saw a message pop up. And slowly, the pain turned into something else. Purpose. I started fixing up the cabin I was renting. Small stuff at first, repainting, replacing broken tiles. Then bigger things. Building shelves, designing a garden, even cutting my own firewood. Every hammer strike, every turn of the wrench, it was therapy. It was mine. Emily and I kept talking. She visited once, brought muffins and a bottle of wine. No romance, just conversation. Real, honest, healing words from someone who had no agenda. We sat by the fire, and she asked, what hurt the most? I didn't even have to think. The fake smiles, I said. Knowing that while I was trying to be a good husband, she was rehearsing lies. Looking me in the eye and choosing to betray me anyway. Every single day. Emily nodded. She didn't deserve you. And for the first time in a long time, I believed that. I wasn't perfect. I worked too much. Missed a few dinners. Forgot a few anniversaries. But I never lied. Never strayed. Never pretended. She had everything she ever said she wanted. A loyal man, a stable home, kids who loved her, and she torched it for drama and deceit. And when the fire got too close, she blamed me for the heat. One night, I got an email. From my son. No subject. Just a message that read, I know I'm not yours, but you'll always be my dad. I miss you. Can we talk? I stared at it for a long time. Cried, honestly. Because despite everything that mattered, he mattered. They both did. I replied simply. Always. Call me anytime. I didn't need revenge anymore. Melissa was already living in her own prison, the kind made of loneliness and echoes of a life she ruined with her own hands. But me? I was finally free. And freedom tastes nothing like forgiveness. It tastes like firewood, black coffee, clean air, and a name that isn't tied to shame anymore. I was rebuilding, not to forget the past, but to prove it never defined me. It had been 6 months since I last saw Melissa. 6 months of silence. No more texts. No more calls. No more emotional hostage notes left on my doorstep or in my inbox. She vanished from my world the same way I had vanished from hers, only for me, it was by choice. For her, it was consequence. I heard through the grapevine that she'd moved in with her mother. That Dean had cut her off once the court case became public, and the evidence I handed over was enough to sink both their reputations like stones. She tried to play the victim, but you can only cry wolf for so long before people stop running to help. Meanwhile, I kept rebuilding. I picked up part-time work at a local woodworking shop. Something about shaping raw material into something useful again gave me a strange sense of control. I wasn't fixing my life, I was crafting a new one. And with every board I sanded, every nail I drove, I felt the past splinter further away. But there was one thing left, one final string still tied to her. The divorce hearing. I didn't expect her to show. Honestly, I assumed she'd send her lawyer and avoid the embarrassment. But she came. She walked into that courtroom dressed like a widow, all in black, with sunglasses on inside like it was some soap opera funeral. She sat down across from me and didn't say a word. The judge asked her, "Do you contest the DNA results or the grounds for financial deception?" She stayed quiet. I watched her lips tremble. Not from regret. Melissa didn't feel regret. From panic. From the realization that her perfect little lie had turned into legal consequence. She finally whispered, "No, Your Honor." And that was it. 20 years. Over. The gavel hit the block like a door slamming shut. After the hearing, she tried to talk to me in the parking lot. "Jason," she said, stepping in front of my car. I didn't even look at her. I never meant to hurt you. I finally turned my head. But you did. Every single day you kept lying. You weren't sorry then. You're just sorry you got caught. I lost everything, she whispered. No, I replied. I lost everything. You just lost your illusion of control. She reached out to touch my arm, like the old days. I stepped back and walked around her. She didn't follow. That was the last time I saw Melissa Grant. No screaming. No closure speech. No cinematic meltdown. Just silence. And that silence was the most beautiful ending I could have asked for. Weeks passed. Spring came. One morning, I found a letter in the mailbox of my cabin. No name on it, just a return address I recognized instantly. It was from my daughter. Inside was a simple note and a photo. The note said, "Dad, I know you're not my father by blood, but you were always the one who showed up. You loved us when you didn't have to. And I'm sorry Mom lied to you. I still want you in my life, if you'll have me. Love, Maddie." The photo was of her and my son, both older now, both smiling, standing outside a college campus. My hand shook. I sat down on the porch and cried, not from pain, but from the feeling that something real had survived the fire. Two kids, born from betrayal, but raised on something stronger. Love. And no matter what the DNA said, I was their father, in every way that mattered. So, I wrote back, "Of course I'll have you." I never stopped. If you're reading this and your world's just been shattered by betrayal, let me say this. You will survive. The pain will be unbearable at first. It will keep you awake, ruin your appetite, destroy your trust. But in that wreckage, you'll find something no liar can ever take from you, truth. And truth, once you claim it, will set fire to every lie you were forced to live with. Let it burn. Walk away from the ashes. Start over. Not to prove them wrong, but to prove yourself right. You were always enough. They just never deserved you.